Now I gotta ride or die.
So guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, we are back at Advanced Automotive to give you guys an update on the Cadillac. Now yes, it has been a few months, bad on my part for not actually opening up some ideas to the guys here to get stuff. Anyway, all my fault, but don't worry about it. We are here to show you guys what has been happening behind the scenes. Now we are again in an active workshop like last time, so please excuse the noises in the background. I want the guys to keep working. This is an active shop, so making sure these guys are working and continuously getting really cool cars built is the key. Again, Advanced Automotive are the place on the Isle of Wight to come and get silly, stupid things like this done to your car. So we're going to show you around a couple of bits that have happened on the top of the car, and then we'll show you some bits that have happened underneath. But of course we have the Toyota Supra engine, so Mark IV 2JZ engine that I picked up very cheap. Now yes, it is still in I'm going to say a crusty state. It looks like it's been under the sea for a while. But don't let that deter you. This engine was running when it came out of the Supra, so we're not too fussed there. But this is, of course, all going to be torn down when the time comes. And turbocharger, that was more of a mock-up for players that we took the car to. So that's probably not the turbocharger we're actually going to be using, but something sort of similar, maybe not as big, but it does look pretty cool in the engine bay. But what I'm going to do is actually show you guys what's happened underneath, because that's where the real work has happened. So let's get the car in the air and I'll take you through exactly what's happened to the rest. Around here there is a lovely truck in the background there, if you guys may have seen. Absolutely, what a thing. Right, so as you can see, engine is in. I will go through exactly what happened in the last video. So, few bits to talk about here. So we have bracing for the GS300 gearbox that we have in here. Prop coming out this side. And as you can see, we will be mocking up with a GS300 prop, which I have bought. It's going to go from here into the original Cadillac rear end, so we're going to actually put a custom prop on this from there just to here. So we're going to be retaining the rear of the original 1966 Cadillac Coupe de Ville with gearing stuff. It should work out just about right for final drive. Fingers crossed, we will see. Now, talking about this side, again, 2JZ Toyota Supra Mark IV engine into an automatic GS300 gearbox. A lot of people were asking why I didn't manual swap this car. No point. It's a big thing. It's 2+ tons. It doesn't need a manual box in it, in my opinion. So running this GS300 gearbox is the right thing to do, and it means that the actual gear linkage, so this is the gear linkage from the actual Cadillac itself, as you can see, and this actually comes the wrong side, which is typical because this is where it needs to go. But as you can see, this is actually movable, and we're going to actually put this into this side, so it's going to retain its original column shift. Something that I wanted to do, I didn't want to cut into the car too much, so actually retaining that is a key point that I need to point out for you guys, because literally what we're going to do, and what the guys here are going to do, is bring this to this side so it can actually be changed from park, reverse, neutral, whatever you want to do. So that's one thing to point out. This is something that guys have been mocking up off camera, and I will show you that once it's done. But that is something that's really, really cool, and again, doesn't mean we have to cut into the car too much. But the big talking point today is the custom oil pan. Now, as you guys may have saw in the last video, the oil pan actually sat right where this steering arm goes, so this actually steers the vehicle side to side. You can't move this, we shouldn't be moving this, this should stay as is. Now this is a completely custom sump that has been put on by the guys at Advanced Automotive, and as you can see, it actually retains all of this here, but comes forward, and it's actually sat, so the guys have done a really, really good job here. They've actually sat it above the actual crossmember at the front. So of course this car goes incredibly low. It is, you know, sat on itself. It actually sits pretty much on the rails when it's all the way down. So that's something you need to factor in when you're doing custom work to it. So this actually sits above everything else in the vehicle, and they actually put the plug on the side as well. So another thing to point out, it is something that if you are going to, you know, service the vehicle and stuff, you want to make sure you can actually get to this bit. So putting it there is a fantastic idea. And yeah, this is going to actually give more oil to the vehicle. So we are going to be changing where the dipstick is. Now the dipstick location is usually I'm going to say it's this side, so it's just up here. Now I'm going to actually try and move this in the not so distant future, something that I will show you guys when it comes to it. Actually moving that is the next thing. Also, I just point out there's a rising sun on the bottom of the oil pan. What an attention to detail thing the guys have done down here, just as a cool little thing that I thought that was really cool to actually see that. But yeah, that's so many hours, so much work just to get that right. Make sure it's cocked properly so it doesn't sit on the ground. So as you can see, this is actually completely clearing the steering. And this is one of the biggest things that I was trying to get my head around, is actually making a custom sump. We did look at chaser sumps, because in theory they sit a little bit further back, but it wouldn't have cleared this steering arm. So instead of, again, modifying this, this was the best way to go. And also clearing what is going to be the exhaust down here. So of course putting it back here wouldn't have been the right thing to do. Having this space utilized for the oil pan is such a good shout. And then, as you can see just here, we'll be able to actually bring the exhaust all the way down and underneath the car. Of course, the prop shaft, because we're going to make that into the original Cadillac prop shaft, so make a custom prop shaft, and buy an ECU, completely factory ECU, to piggyback onto this engine with the turbocharger. So that's the next port of call for me, because of course these parts are actually readily available with GS300s. That's why I went for this gearbox and initially this engine. So the next things are actually going to be holding oil in the car, ready for, you know, what is going to be a turbo conversion into the turbocharger and various bits, as well as holding liquids, you know, various other stuff ready for the first crank. Now, saying first crank out loud is really sort of daunting for me, because I'm not sure what's going to happen with this engine. If it's going to crank properly, it literally is not necessarily been left outside, but as you can see by conditions, we're not too sure how bad it's going to be or how good it's going to be. Hopefully it's going to be good. You know, it's a Toyota engine, they don't really do too badly with being outside. But the other thing to point out is, once everything is actually done to that point, we are going to pull the engine back out, because there's a couple of things that want to be assessed once the engine is back out of the car. That's something that will be happening very soon, and again, I will document that on the channel as much as I can. But the engine will come back out, and at that point we will probably start painting and tidying up the bay. A lot of people were asking, am I going to leave it like this as a rat rod looking sort of engine in a car? No, I want to make this not necessarily look as factory as possible, but pretty much black the engine bay out as much as I can. So actually pulling everything out, and again assessing, you know, just rails here and all this suspension stuff, maybe getting it powder coated by Martin and MJG. That I think is going to be a really good shout. So yeah, once all of this is back out, you will of course see wiring and just various other little bits and bobs that need to come out. This needs to come out. You know, it needs to be done, so the engine will of course come back out of the car ready to actually be stripped down and painted, and all of these bits just made lovely. Because of course the last thing I want is, as a personal car, this is my personal car, having these bits all lovely and new, and then sort of other bits not being as nice as they should be. So that will be assessed very shortly. But that is of course, you know, months away. This isn't any pressure to make content out of this car. It is a physical, personal car of mine. This is my forever car. So there's no pressure for me to make content on it. There's no pressure from you guys here to get it done. So sorry about the relaxed sort of style that we're building this, but I feel like this is the best way, so I, you know, get the best car I want, the build that I want out of this car. So that's the main thing. You know, and as updates go, that's a lot of work to get that done, to get it to this point where this is in, the gearbox and everything's sat as it should be, the pan's in. We should be holding oil and water in the not so distant future, so I'm really excited for that. And of course, once things happen, I will update you guys as we go. But I will leave today's video here, so I want to make sure the guys here are happy, you know, getting on with their work, and they're building some really cool stuff, as you can see again in the background. This PD 150 in this, I think it's in this Caddy. Fantastic looking. I think it's a C10, can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, some interesting stuff in here. But I will leave today's video there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.